Welcome back, this is Goku Sun DBZ and welcome back to a new game review. And this time I am reviewing Street Fighter V, or also known as Street Fighter Championship Edition. But I thought I'd quickly just give a bit of a step thing on the game as a whole because this has been quite a journey on the Street Fighter V journey, that is. First, of course, we start out with the very somewhat controversial original base Street Fighter V, which was absent of course, an arcade mode, as well as it would be about 6 months later until the theatrical story mode would be released. Now, to be fair, unlike some people, I actually really like the story mode, personally, and I feel probably a lot of old school Street Fighter fans probably appreciate the story mode for the most part. And yeah, I'll be the first to admit, it definitely turned out way better than Infinite's story mode, though I still liked it for what it was. But Street Fighter V was interesting. It is unfortunate there were characters they introduced in the game that I feel were not utilized the greatest. Of course, that being characters such as, obviously, Nikali. Obviously based on like Aztec and Mayan type beings. And then he has sort of like his V-trigger turns into what looks like a Super Saiyan, more or less, or a Super Saiyan God, if you will. Which I found quite interesting, that his entire outward appearance changed with V-trigger. Now that would be something else that would be really different from past Street Fighter games, is the V-trigger. And of course, once we get through many processes and updates, we would also gain things such as the V-skill. But first things first, base game, yeah, not the greatest, I would say, on a rating scale. And I'll mention a little bit on each version. But the base version of the game gets, in my opinion, probably a D plus to a C minus. Or if you want to go with like my old scoring system, but I'm going to stick with my grading system. Yeah, I'd probably give it somewhere between a C minus to a D plus. Then we get a massive upgrade to, of course, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which would add the arcade modes, and it would add a lot more content, plus we would have 2 seasons of DLC in addition to the game. It is hard to believe the original base game, for its lack of stuff, that it still cost $60 at launch. Now, this version of the game, of course, would launch at $40, which is actually not that bad, plus you're getting 2 seasons of DLC and everything. And given there was a lot of issues and errors made from the base version of the game that really got smoothed out, and definitely a lot of stuff was very much improved upon in Arcade Edition. I feel a lot of the major issues and gripes people had with the base game were very much fixed and worked out in Arcade Edition. To me, this version of the game is definitely great. Plus, it was cool that you got with it like a digital redeem code, not only for DLC characters, but also for like a theme for your PS4, which was cool. I actually used that theme for quite a long time. But it's great, and you got new characters through those seasons of DLC. Some good, some not so good characters. For me personally, of DLC characters that we got, one of my personal favorites, at least of the female characters, was definitely Colleen. Is one that I really personally liked. Yeah, you would have the introduction. Unfortunately, one thing I'll say, unfortunately, about Street Fighter V is it was very much heavily esports focused. That's one thing you can tell from the gameplay aspects of Street Fighter V and in general, but things were greatly improved upon. Now, it won't be until Champion Edition you would pretty much get like 2 V skills and things like that on top of 2 V triggers. Now, that's one of that you get in Arcade Edition, was the addition of a new V trigger. So that would give you a little bit more variety to gameplay aspects. Of course, my favorite thing about the Season 2 DLC was, of course, the addition of Akuma. Though I'm not a big fan of the lion's mane design of Akuma, I personally prefer his nostalgic skin, which is what I got day one when I got Akuma. But to me, Arcade Edition overall, I would give, as I said, the base version of the game, I give somewhere between a C- and a D+. I give Arcade Edition, I think it's very solid overall, a very good package for the most part. I give Arcade Edition probably a B+. Quite a jump from like around a D+ to a B+. If not, though I thought there was a few issues still, but still, it drastically improved the game in many areas, I feel, which is why I gave, at that time, Arcade Edition probably an A-. Looking back now, I give it like a B+. Then, of course, we would get other changes, like, of course, great characters and references, but the problem I always had was all the freaking DLC costumes. I admit, I'm guilty of trying to build up fight money and stuff, and trying to buy costumes. I'll admit I'm part of that problem, especially I had a bad issue about buying a lot of the stages and things. Though I got screwed over in the end on that, but I still went out of my way to pick up, of course, Street Fighter V Champion Edition. This would add even more stuff, and of course would add newer characters, like I believe it's Cage or some, basically a cheap knockoff of Evil Ryu. He would definitely have a lot of Evil Ryu's specific moves, like his leg kick of his like stomp move, which is definitely a signature of Evil Ryu. Funny enough, though, he definitely has a lot of different special moves versus Evil Ryu. Still not bad. I'm trying right now to get the hang of things. I think right now of the newer characters, personally, I want to put a lot more time and effort into learning Gil. Seth, from what I've seen moveset, it's interesting, but I'll be honest, I like overall the design and everything of Gil a lot more. And I'll be honest, the fact I especially like Gil's alternate costume, the Pyrun costume, being a big Darkstalker fan. But overall, I feel of all the versions of the game, this is definitely, of course, the most complete. This is the complete. You're basically getting like 4 seasons of DLC characters here and there. Season 4 was a bit spotty, but overall really solid. And I feel that definitely it's good. Plus, you have the addition of like 40 characters total now. A good big roster of really solid characters, adding a lot of new mechanics and things with characters like Gil and Seth. Plus also the addition of all of the special stages, except for like 2 stages you still have to buy. Unfortunately, you didn't get every single stage in the game in the package still. But luckily I already had those 2 stages purchased, so it didn't faze me. And on top of everything, you have over 200 costumes, which of course I recently recorded into 3 parts rating the costumes. But with that said, overall, this is definitely a great overall package and a great value for your money. It's $30 for Champion Edition. I think that is more than perfect between the price, the amount of content, and everything across the board you get, and much better refined mechanics and gameplay aspects. I have to give, as I said, base version probably a D+, Arcade Edition a B+. Street Fighter V Champion Edition gets an A+. It is definitely the best way to play the game. Don't worry about buying the others unless, like myself, you're a collector and you want all versions of the game and you're willing to go out of your way. Otherwise, just do yourself a favor and pick up Champion Edition. That's the best route to go in my personal opinion. But anyways, that is my newest game review. That is my review for Street Fighter V. Leave a comment below. Tell me what your opinions are on Street Fighter V and on the versions. And for that matter, which season of like DLC characters, for instance, did you like the most? For me, it was a toss-up between Season 2 and Season 3 characters. Though I gotta admit, G is definitely one of the more interesting characters in the game for the most part. But anyways, with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Stay tuned for 2 more game reviews I'm working on. One for the Nintendo Switch, which I really need to get to finish that, but I'm having to do a lot more gameplay on that. Plus, also in the near future, I'll be announcing another PS4 review I'm planning on working on. Anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. And I hope you enjoyed this and the music in the background.